This is Tales from the Cube, a podcast about call centers. The good, bad, ugly, funny, and not so funny side of what it's like to work in a call center. With your host, Cliff Tour.
Good day and welcome to Tales from the Cube, episode 25002. This is part 2 of starting a call center. In the last episode, the discussion was around doing the basic setup and what it would take to recruit and train staff, as well as some other pre-build material. So the key here will be what you decide to do regarding where your staff are going to work. Will this be something that you're going to go forward and do in these fashions? Will you be renting or buying space to build a call center? Or are you going to basically build out a virtual call center? Or a mix of the two, what we call a hybrid. For this episode, let's tackle the virtual call center setup. A virtual call center is a great way to go these days. It's easier to set up than a physical plant, but there are still going to be challenges to the creation of them. A virtual center requires you to pay both upfront costs and recurring fees that you pay each month. Let's detail each of the initial and ongoing costs, okay? So, initial setup costs run between $1,850 and $12,750. That's just an estimate, okay? It's not going to be any less and it's not going to be more, or then again it might be less and then again it might be more. Increase these estimates if you're purchasing hardware for more than one agent, which is what basically is going to happen. So essentially what you're looking at here is it's either going to be a small amount or you're going to be paying a whole lot. Ongoing costs run between $1,200 and $7,500 per month. Again, you want to increase these estimates for larger teams. Before you do anything, you will need to work with legal teams, and that is going to cost. It can cost from $200 to $2,000 to manage and engage with legal professionals regarding your business and what you plan to do regarding service types. You will need to attract clients, so getting a website together is also something you will need to do. The budget for that will be around $500 and up to about $1,200 for the initial setup, and of course there's going to be ongoing cost. This will include domain registration, web hosting, and initial marketing costs. As you move along, these costs are going to go, particularly for marketing, they're going to trend upwards. So plan for expenditures of up to $2,000 a month, maybe more, maybe less, but it's going to be up there. You're also going to need and must train staff to use your tools and those of the client. Prices can vary for software to train staff on your tools. The client should be providing you with resources to train staff on services, products, and procedures. In episode 25001, I mentioned that it could cost up to $10,000 to train 10 people. You are probably going to want to find a training plan that covers a wide range of resources and numbers of people as you move forward. Of course, you will also need to kit out the staff that you hired. Some may have their own computers and you can just add software and a headset. But the smarter and more compliant and unified way is to give your staff computers. These are computers, of course, that your company is going to own with the software to run the campaign. So basically you're going to put everything on a computer, you're going to hand it to the rep. That will include the security software. The computers could also cost as little as $300 and up to $1,000 per agent. So you want to make sure that you have everything all squared away here, particularly with regard to hardware and software. As for the software, CRM tools and security software, each could cost a few dollars up to a few $100s to get. Some software allows for a small person or multi-person use and a large person and really, really large team use, while others are just one user at a time. User cal or device cal. Device cals allow anybody to use the device. The user cals are basically just based on how many users per the device. There's a different mix. I would suggest looking up on the internet what a user cal and what a device cal is, because they are different. And if you buy that license, just so you're aware, it's yours. It's not refundable in most cases. So be very, very vigilant when you're going forward and buying computers and the software and the licenses, what we call the cows, to ensure that your usage is going to match what you want to do. Because once you, like I said, once you buy the license, that's it. There's no refunds. So you're stuck with that. And that's going to impact your cost. The good news there is that there are free tools that you can use to run your campaigns. There are definitely software pieces out there that you can use that will allow you to go forward without super high cost. The software that you're going to want includes the following: customer relationship management tools, or what we call CRM, contact center manager tools, or CMTs, customer support software, CSS, employee tracking software, accounting and tax software, and VoIP software. The key goals you want to ensure to meet with the software use are as follows: supporting the channels your team uses, including phone, chat, email, or social media messaging. You should allow the type of calling you need to be very, very laser focused here, which could be inbound or outbound or both. You want to make sure that the software that you're going to get offers the features that you need, such as routing calls for inbound teams, and of course, if you're going to be doing an outbound campaign, what's known as a power dialer for outbound calls. These are things that basically need to be implemented here, tools that need to be implemented, particularly for the outbound side of this. If you're going to get a dialer, you want to make sure that thing's going to work really well, because you're going to want it to dial not just a couple of numbers, but hundreds of numbers, and you want to make sure that thing is going to be able to stand up to the stress of basically doing that. So you want good software in order to do that, to manage the dialer so that it will call and not crash on you. I've actually been in call centers where the dialer after an hour just goes, it flakes out and just dies, and they have to reload the campaign into it, and it can take up to an hour or two in some cases if it really messes up. So make sure that if you're going to do outbound calling, you have a good dialer. A power dialer needs to have good software also to manage it so that it doesn't crash on you. You want to make sure that all the software integrates with the tools that you use, such as tracking, project management, or appointment setting apps. So you want to, again, make sure there's a good, strong integration piece here with regard to this. You want to ensure to provide monitoring, call recording, and agent analytics so that you can coach and improve your team, right? You want to make sure that that's going to be doable. You want to basically ensure that you're setting up a chatbot to engage website visitors and answer questions automatically if you intend to use AI. So AI is definitely prevalent out there. You got to be aware of it. It's a thing, and a lot of the simple stuff, simple everyday questions, can be handled by AI. You don't necessarily have to use AI to try and answer complex questions, because really, in all honesty, it's not quite there yet to do that. But simple stuff like prices and other things, like where to get the product or what the product is, a description of, AI can handle that. So setting up the chatbot to engage the website visitor is definitely something you're going to want to do, so that those questions can be answered in an automated way. So AI can help you. It's not evil, but it's also important to make sure that it suits what you're doing and fits within the box that you want to put it in, to make it a workable solution so that customers will not get frustrated with it. Because after all, you're using a robot here. So if that robot isn't going to be able to deliver, it's probably not a good idea to implement AI. And if you are going to implement it, you again want to make sure it's going to fit and answer the questions in an automated way that makes sense to the visitor. You want to make sure to build out self-service knowledge bases. So these are articles that customers can look up and use independently. And the campaign that I have, there's hundreds of them that are out there. So this is something that's really critical and important. You want to make sure that these articles that you put out there make sense. So you don't want some high schooler writing this, by the way. You want somebody who has got at least some, I would say in Canada, community college understanding, or maybe university would be helpful. You want somebody who really understands language and can write. Somebody that writes stuff, and I've seen even some articles that we use not only externally to our customers, but also internally, and I go, what the heck is this? It's gobbledygook. It doesn't make sense, and it's annoying as heck, and it's too vague, or it tries to do everything in one slew, and it's annoying as heck. So you want to ensure that those knowledge-based articles are really well written, and if you can, make sure that you have good bullet points in there for instruction on how to use a product or how to fix it. So again, you want to build out self-serve knowledge-based articles that customers can basically check independently and understand and implement, because if you don't, they're going to call you and say, what the heck is this? I tried this and it didn't work. And you're just going to get a frustrated customer. So do that very, very carefully and make sure that the person writing it actually knows how to write, can put a good sentence structure together. Because believe me, I've seen it in my day where it's not. You want to use AI to create or improve responses for increased customer satisfaction. Going back again to you using the AI, it's important to understand that you want to create an improved response. You want to ensure that you're creating a help desk ticketing system to ensure you create a pathway for solutions for your customers. This includes the technical side, especially the technical side, whether it's how to use or there's a problem. Mostly it's problems. So we're talking tech support here. That's usually what a ticketing system is for, or for billing. Okay, there's a problem with the billing, or the software isn't working, or the thing isn't working, your speakers aren't working, your fridge isn't working. The ticketing system basically allows for people to go forward and try and fix the problem. What is known in the industry as an RTA, a request for technical assistance, is out there. Now, I know somebody's going to be listening to this. You can't use that. That's an internal work. No, it's not. For our purpose, on our campaign, it is. So we don't use that word to customers. But it is actually out there. RTA, which stands for Request for Technical Assistance, is when you send to an engineer or to a person who has built the product a ticket. And what they do is they look at that ticket and they go, okay, this is what we need to do. So you want that ticketing system to be user-friendly for the agent, basically, going forward. So you want to keep in mind that the user is the advisor or the technical support rep. So keep it simple, keep it straightforward, and make sure that it basically works in such a manner that it flows. It creates a workflow for you. So the help desk ticketing system is designed and should be always designed for a solution pathway. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to be able to deliver back to the customer. Here's what we got in the way of an answer. And also, you want to make sure that in certain circumstances, if the solution is we can't fix it, that we explain why, or at least attempt to explain why in the ticketing response. So there you go. You want to ensure to input agent schedules to ensure coverage in different time zones, monitor attendance, and manage regular and overtime shifts. Okay, people will end up working overtime sometimes. It will even happen on a regular shift where it goes into overtime. So you want a software piece that's going to manage that. So a good program that basically flows again with a workflow that allows for flexibility in overtime shift management is really going to be your goal here. So you want that. You want to make sure that it works in tandem with your with all your other software. Straight up, straightforward. Software has to be able to do that so that you know that you're not going to understaff or overstaff the floor. That's where that tool comes in. You want to track the time agents spend on tasks and projects to properly manage the number of agents on duty during peak and low periods of time, so that call volumes are managed, as well as budgeting the special projects that you do. Everything is about money. Remember, time is money. So you want to make sure that agents are on the phone in the appropriate times that they need to be on the phone to answer calls. There are going to be peak times, there are going to be low times. You've got to be able to manage that. That's why you have to have software that can manage and monitor attendance and also regulate the shifts, both overtime and regular, so that you ensure these things are done. Because at the end of the day, if you understaff your call center, you're just going to tick off customers. If you overmanage it, you're burning money, because basically you have agents sitting on the phone doing nothing. So there's a fine balance here that you're going to be wanting to ensure gets met. And that's where these software pieces come in, so that you can look at what's going on and decide, okay, this isn't working, let's try that. This is the best time to do that. These are the numbers of people we need in this particular grouping for time and the project that we're doing. That's basically the gist of all of that. You want to ensure to make sure that all the software that you do gets data on apps and websites that your agents are going to be using for the completion of the task, so you can get insights to what they're doing. You understand the workflow. Again, this is management software that you're going to be needing to go forward with that. So you want to have that in place, because if you don't, even in a virtual call center, it's going to be like, well, what are these guys doing? I mean, I'm paying them. They're sitting at home working. Well, what are they doing? What's the workflow? How's it working out? So especially in the virtual call center, measuring these things are really important. You want to measure productive AUX versus unproductive AUX to identify which agents may need support to improve their stats and which ones are doing well. This will help you identify work-life balance issues to increase employee engagement and agent retention. Yes, even in a virtual call center, this is important. You want to improve the life of the agent, not basically use them as your screwdriver to fix everything. That's not the goal here. So you want to ensure that you're managing this. Now, AUXes are states. AUXes are states that basically agents go into. There's what's known as a productive AUX, which is basically on a call, versus unproductive AUX, like ACW. Well, ACW is really not a productive AUX, or offline tasks, doing something that's not actually handling a customer call, is unproductive. And it's generally speaking in most call centers, this is unpaid. Unproductive AUXes are unpaid. The agent still gets paid, but you don't. So you want to make sure that you're balancing this out to identify those people who are doing the right things versus the wrong things. That's really what this means. So that you improve stats and help those who are not doing so well and those who are doing well to basically improve and continue doing well, so that you ensure the work-life balance is definitely something that is met. Because it's not always that an agent is fooling around. Maybe there's something going on here. So if you can look at the AUX usage and say, this agent is using a lot of offline time. What's going on? You want to find out what they're doing if you can, particularly in a virtual call center. A little harder to do as opposed to on the floor, in the production floor. So you want to make sure that you monitor this. It's a whole different conversation. I'll talk about this at another point. But again, it's measuring this so that basically all the people involved are happy. The agent is happy, you're happy, the client is happy, and at the end of the day, so it's the customer, because that's who's paying the bill at the end of the day. It's the customer. So they're paying the bill to the company pays you to run the campaign. That's why you want to make sure this is measured so that everybody is balanced out correctly. You want to ensure that you provide proof of work via time tracking and screenshots and demonstrate value to your clients. After all, the goal is to get paid. Just what I said before. Essentially, you're wanting to get paid. So you got to manage this. Virtual call centers rely on a team, and basically that team is at home. Except for a small head office, you won't need office space to house your center. However, you are going to need phone lines and high-speed internet to manage agents and support clients. You also need data packages for agents so you can support the campaign. Uptime is always going to be a priority. You must have a reliable internet connection in most cases. This is you at home. You need a business package for the advisors so they can go forward and use the phone lines in a multiple phone line setup. You want high-speed data and video internet. So these costs are going to be varying based on location. So I would suggest shopping around. One other key of things that you need is like insurance, and you're also going to have to deal with taxes. Also going to come into play are things that you might want to consider, like you're going to need help with experts in the field on these topics. So you're going to have to pay them. Doing your own taxes for personal, okay. But for a business, yeah, you kind of want to make sure that you're talking with somebody. The same applies for understanding laws around labor and other regulations and licensing rules. In short, you will have to build in the cost for hiring outside help to start and maintain the business. Doing it right the first time will save you time and money, and also a headache. Because if you screw up, particularly with regard to compliance, if you screw that up, you're going to pay money, and you could end up in jail for violating certain laws in certain countries. And you could cost your company a lot of money. In fact, we're so, in our campaign, so laser focused on compliance, particularly within Europe, that we really have to be careful, because if we make a mistake, it's not a couple of 100,000 a year. It's more like millions of dollars that would get lost because of that failure. So obeying the law, understanding taxes and regulations, following compliance rules and licensing rules are going to require you to have a set of individuals who are experts helping you so that you can manage this well at the outset. Virtual call centers can really do well for you if you're planning on getting into the game. But you want to make sure at the end of the day that everything you do is managed in a manner which will improve customer satisfaction for your clients, help you become more and more stable and more productive, and encourage people on the outside who are looking at you to say, I want to work for these guys, so that you can build your business and really actually make money doing this. Because in the call center industry, yeah, you can actually make money. So basically what this really says here today regarding virtual call centers is that you need to plan in order to succeed. And if you do that, you're going to really do well as a virtual call center manager and owner with respect to getting solid clients and having satisfied customers for those clients. At the end of the day, that spells out, lots and lots of money in your pocket. And that's the goal here, isn't it? If you want to start this business, you want to go into the call center world, you want to make sure that when you put your feet down on this, you're going to be a success at it. That's the whole point of this episode and this series, is to show you that you can do it, you can build it. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but if you do it right, you will be a success. Thanks for listening to this episode of Tales from the Cube. My name is Cliff Tuer. You should know that I'm a 20-year-plus veteran in the call center industry, so I'm a frontline guy, but I know basically how these things work. And I've seen call centers that are huge and small. Some succeed, some do not. Most actually don't, because they don't do the things that they're supposed to be doing. And that's what this series is about, is showing you how to make sure that you can actually go forward and do this in a manner which is going to be successful for you. So again, thanks for listening to this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Tales from the Cube. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, and your favorite way to get podcasts. See you in the next episode of Tales from the Cube with Cliff Tuer.